Coach Sadler, although he's still with us, but in memory of one of the greatest hustlers, the greatest hustler that ever was in this camp. And his name was Fox Beyer. Fox, by the way, is from, I don't think I told the guys last week, is from Chatham, New Jersey. Okay, so if any of you know where Chatham is, that's where Fox Beyer is. And Fox was named very appropriately. That is not his nickname, by the way. When he was born, the doctors told the mother that within one day after he was born that he was not going to make it. He had a degenerative heart and that he was going to die. And at that point in time, he still hadn't been named. By the way, he managed to overcome one of the biggest obstacles that any person could be faced with without even knowing about it. He was a fighter from birth. And because he survived, his mom named him Fox. He had a number of brothers that came to camp. I told the guys last week, I believe that there were at least 6 Beyer boys that came through camp. Fox was the last in a line of Beyer boys. And I can remember this brother Bill was coming back to camp, and we used to have 15-year-olds at the camp at the time. And so Mrs. Beyer called me and she said, Coach Groves, she said, you know, Bill's coming back to camp. And she said, you know, I have another son. And I was like, oh, wow, because all our kids were just such hard workers and you know, awesome ball players and campers. And she said, I'd like to send him to camp too. He's really excited. But Coach, he's different than everybody else. And I said, well, what do you mean that he's different? And she said, well, Fox has cerebral palsy. And unlike my son Nevin, and you guys know Nevin with his hand crutches, Fox didn't need hand crutches to walk, but it was still pretty tough for him. You know, he'd oftentimes fall, and you know, had problems. But well, I tell you what, nobody ever picked him up. And by the way, Fox never walked anywhere. He only had one speed, and it was all out. And I will never forget the first time that I saw him in camp. I actually, as I do in registration, you know, normally I kind of hang out in the office and take care of office things and try to answer questions and, you know, those kind of things. And so I didn't actually meet him as they came through the registration line. But we had a Sunday night station workout. And where Volunteer Stadium is, there actually used to be 2 camp fields. One was Camp 3, or was Field 3 on the camp, and the other was Field 7. And the team that Fox was on, which was the Tigers, by the way, was on Field 3. And they were doing a drill where they were learning how to bunt for a base hit. And Fox was a left-hand hitter, left-hand thrower. And I remember the coach was kind of standing from about here to the trash can, and he was flipping the ball, and they had a first baseman and a third baseman and a catcher, and they were working on field and bunt trying to throw the guy out at first base. Well, Fox lays down this perfect bunt toward the third baseman and turns and takes off for first base. Now, you have to understand, when you saw Fox run, it was very awkward. But let me tell you what, he was going with every ounce of strength that his body would take him. And when he got to first base, he laid out, head first dive into first base, and beat the throw. And he got up, and he started jumping up and down and cheering and carrying on because he beat this bunt out. He went sprinting back to his teammate, started high-fiving every teammate coming back in a bunting drill. And the tone was set for the rest of the week. You talk about a week of hustling. Actually, there were 2-week sessions back then. We went through the weekend, and the next week we had 2-week sessions, 3 2-week sessions, 6 weeks of camp. Never, and I mean never, did I catch Fox Beyer not at top speed. He was amazing. He went through all his years of camp, and after he finished his 15-year-old year, he called me over the course of the winter and asked me if he could come back and work camp. And I hired him on staff as a counselor. He always worked extra hitting. The batting cages, actually, if you look beyond the fence at Volunteer, where that stony kind of parking lot is out there, that's where the batting cages used to be. So all like a grassy area out there. And there wasn't any shade like you guys have now down there. You were in the baking sun all day long. It was hot. And Fox would be down there. He was always the first one there and the last one out. And I'm not kidding. He loved what he did. And you could hear him. He could be on the field over here, you know, at field 2, and you could hear him hooting and hollering for the guys, trying to get them pumped up, trying to get them working in the cages, trying to get them excited about what they were doing. And he would work extra hitting. I used to always wander over for extra hitting myself. I like to get there when I can. And Fox and I would close up. We'd put equipment away, put balls away. You know, he'd always want to hit a round off of me. And we'd close everything up. And I had a golf cart. And he did. And I'd say, come on, Fox, jump on. And he'd get this big grin on his face. And the race was on. Because Fox would start running from the batting cages. And this used to be a big grassy hill. He'd run around field 3, up this grassy hill. And this was all grass back in here. And he'd run across the grass all the way to the steps over there. And he'd sprint up those steps and try to beat me on my golf cart to the top of the hill. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, did he ever beat you? You think I would let anybody ever beat me? I'm a winner. So I raced him every day, man. There's no way he was beating me. I had the pedal to the metal. But you want to know what? The campers caught on. And the guys who were in the pool, and back then it was a different camp. It wasn't set up like that. There were cabins that went around. And they would see Fox running up, and they'd see me coming up the hill, and they caught on. And all the campers would come to what was the lower gate up there. It was an old wooden white fence. And they would stand there and cheer for him when he was sprinting up those steps. And I'm not I mean, it was nuts. And he would get to the top of those steps, and he would just go crazy. And again, it was just a high-fiving frenzy of enthusiasm. He is a special person. You know, the guy is absolutely top-notch successful. He's a graduate of the University of South Carolina. When he played high school baseball, even under his own circumstances, obviously was not capable of playing at that level at college, but he became their manager. And the year that he was the manager there is the last time that South Carolina, this year they won the College World Series, but the team that he was the manager for made it to the College World Series. So he was, you know, featured at the College World Series. He was featured. He's been on Good Morning America. And by the way, Saturday, maybe I already told you, I'm going to Yankee Stadium to watch the Old Timers Day game and then watch the Yankees play the Rays on Saturday. My wife and I are going. Fox Beyer got to throw out the first pitch at Yankee Stadium on Old Timers Day. And you talk about an awesome thrill. 60,000 people cheering for him, standing out. He's been featured in Reader's Digest in an article on his life. He was the true Fox. He was the true hustler. When you get this award, it means a lot to me. I hope that you understand, again, that people are faced with difficulties in life. It's what they do with them. I think of my son Nevin and how proud I am of him. He's a college student. For a normal person to get around, imagine what it's like in north central Pennsylvania in the middle of the winter. And you got to be able to make it to your next class. And it's snowing out, and it's icy, and you walk on hand crutches with a heavy bag on your back, trying to get your coat on. And yet Nevin does it every day. He never misses class. Never misses class. I'm so proud of him. Somebody asked me, never going to be able to walk? And I looked at him and I said, do you think he's dead? That's walking, guys. That's walking with attitude. That's not, he was on those things. Man, I never saw a kid as young as him up on those things. His crutches used to be about that long, man. I can remember him bopping around the house and those things, going up and down steps like it's nothing. You know, it's what you make of it. It's what you make of it. It's people like that that are special. When I hear the word normal, he might be the only normal person that I know. I think the rest of us are a little crazy. You know, really. That's normal. God only makes a few special people. He really does. All right. We got a couple of great hustlers here on our staff in this camp. Coach Cole, you're a great hustler, but you don't get to give it out this week because I had another great hustler that played for me. And he already knows I'm going to brag about him because I always do, because he was a straight A student. I said he's probably one of the finest students that I ever had in class. The staff's tired of hearing me say this, but it's the truth. Excellence. He is all about it. And he is never complained. Always worked hard. Always did what I asked him to do. He was a true leader for my team. And I was really proud of him. I like to have Coach Mike Abercrombie.